And US President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel has led to protests and outrage. Leaders from the Arab world have condemned their decision. Protesters are gathering on the streets. Our next report brings you the very latest.
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
With those words, the US president announced a major shift in American foreign policy. Trump's decision has disrupted the status quo on Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu welcomed the US president's decision, terming it historic.
We're profoundly grateful for the president for his courageous and just decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to prepare for the opening of the U.S. embassy here.
Like many feared, the decision has sparked unrest and protests in West Asia. Protests broke out in Gaza City, tires were burnt on the streets, and slogans against the Trump administration reverberated. And Palestine's president responded with some strong words.
These deplorable and unacceptable measures deliberately undermine all peace efforts and proclaims that they are abandoning the role of sponsor of the peace process that they have played over the past decades.
Abbas, however, refrained from outlining his next move. In its defense, the US Secretary of State said their move reflects the reality on the ground.
The reality is Israel's government, its courts, its Prime Minister's office is all in Jerusalem today. So it is just an acknowledgement of what is reality on the ground. As to the move of the embassy, the President has directed me and the State Department to undertake the process to begin an effort to move the embassy. We are not going to be doing that quickly. We have to acquire a site, we have to develop building plans, we'll have to construct a building. So this is not something that will happen overnight.
Leaders from Hamas termed Trump's statement a declaration of war. They're calling for a new Palestinian intifada or uprising.
The uprising that was launched yesterday will continue today. I want it to continue and expand and strengthen so that the occupation learns and so Trump realizes that he will regret. I say regret greatly this decision.
Protesters clashed with police in Bethlehem.
It made me very sad, very angry, and made me really felt the depth of injustice which had been inflicted to the Palestinian rights.
Here today we're condemning the American President Donald Trump decision by declaring Jerusalem as the state of Israel. Right now what are we asking for? We're asking the Palestinian Authority and the President Mahmoud Abbas to stop all the peace negotiations with the Israelis.
But for most everyday Israelis, really it's nothing beyond stating the obvious. That Jerusalem is the capital, it's the home of all the major establishments here, the parliament and other government offices. And for many Israelis, they consider it really the eternal capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years. On the other hand, for the Palestinians, a totally different story. They consider it a slap in the face and are saying that the Americans really are relinquishing their role here as an honest broker in the conflict. The Palestinian leadership saying that this really is the end of the peace process and are calling for mass demonstrations, raising fears that we could see the same kind of violence we've seen before in the Arab world. Great concern over the Islamic sites in the city, and really the Americans are out on their own on this in many ways because European nations as well saying it's really, it seems like an unnecessary step that will just inflame tensions further. Either way, we're talking about a jolt here to a long simmering conflict which in recent years has been on a slow burn and now seems to be entering a new chapter.